Hi everyone, welcome to Psychedelic Conversations. This is your hub for engaging in deep conversations around serotonergic hallucinogens that alter perceptions, affect cognitive processes, induce mystical and spiritual experiences. Enjoy the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Psychedelic Conversations podcast. I have with me Api Ascaso. She's an occupational therapist working with special needs children. And she's also a musician. She uses her medicine for healing, for therapeutic ways. And also, she does a lot of music for good vibes and connection. Welcome, Api. So great to have you.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's my pleasure to be here.
As always, we begin with your story. So let's go back and find out, how did you come to, firstly, you have two roles, occupational therapy and a musician. How did you come to these two roles in your life? Let's talk about your story.
Well, music was not a choice. My auntie always says that it's the only baby that she's seen singing. And I always remember myself as a child singing in the sunsets in summer, in the really hot summers in Spain. In the sunset is when it's a cooler time. So I was getting out. We were in the countryside completely by ourselves. There was nobody around. So I remember very well going out in the sunset. And it's funny that after 40 years, that is what I'm doing. I keep doing. So music is like, since I was a child, 4 years old, I've been playing music. So it was not really a choice. It's just, I'm undoubtedly a musician. And I studied like the whole classical training, and then there was this kind of messages from society saying like, how are you going to live and eat and pay your bills with music? And there was like this kind of very limited conception of how you make your life out of music, and decided to also classical music. The environment around that was not my thing, so I ended up going to university and thinking that it would be good to help people to go through their processes. So I got into occupational therapy because it's got a very holistic approach. You look at the person in many different areas. So you get a good foundation of, neurology and anatomy, but also human psychology. And so it's a beautiful holistic approach. And I got into children because I found a job in the Canary Islands, and that was kind of the beginning of my journey into pediatrics, which, to be honest, I love. It's a passion. It's beautiful working with children, and I've been doing that for nearly 20 years. Wow. So I work with neurological conditions, prematurity, autism, all sorts of. And the last 10 years, I've been more focused on early years. So I treat babies since they are really discharged from hospital up to the age of 5. Now I'm setting up my own practice, but until now I've been working for the NHS. Mm-hmm. It's a combination of, working as a therapist, which gives me a lot of experience in, working with parents, and I have gone through very traumatic experiences because nobody expects having a child with disability. And also being always connected to the music and using it in I always think that the first 40 years of my life, I've been absorbing from and I'm a passionate of world music. So I've been doing African drumming and Hindi ragas. And folklore from Argentina, and then travel, like kind of absorbing and doing it for my own soul. And I think, I don't know, there was something happened when I decided to be a mom, something that motherhood really rooted me. And kind of this, okay, this is what I am. This is the woman I am. And really felt like I had to offer the music that I had been doing and absorbing and creating.
Yeah. Wow. So how long you been living in the UK?
It's been already 12 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you work, your main job is to work with the early years special needs. So what does it look like, if for the listeners that don't understand the occupational therapy with children, what does it look like for you to work with a vulnerable child?
So usually when a child comes to the service, they come with certain needs. Either they have brain damage, so they have difficulties with moving their bodies. They may have high tone, they are not able to hold their heads, they can't swallow safely. They have difficulties to use their hands. They need a special chair to sit on. Yeah, that's when they've got a brain damage, for example. And then when an occupational therapist comes, it's like we talk to parents, and we kind of gather information about their history, and also what are their main concerns. What is it that during the day those difficulties impact the most? What is it like? Is it in feeding, and the child cannot feed himself, or is it dressing, or is it behavior? So we look at the different, what is it that those special needs are impacting on your life? And then we identify the main factors rather than working on everything at the same time. We kind of, okay, let's focus on this and that. And then it's kind of, we are very using a lot of coaching approach in terms of like, okay, you tell me, how do you want to work on it, or what strategies we can put in place to help your child to achieve. Now, the beautiful thing with children is that the brain is programmed to grow and develop. Neuroplasticity is happening all the time, but especially in the early years. So, and the evidence suggests that this is the most precious time to work and to do all their rehabilitation. So it's beautiful because all children are meant to learn, and that's what happens naturally if you just put the right environment and the right platform there. So you will be doing lots of play. Because at the end we are occupational therapists, which means is the occupation. Through the occupation, you help the child to occupy himself in a meaningful way. So whether the child likes doing Play-Doh, or the child loves painting or playing with cars, so how can we do that so that you can use your hands together? That will help you to grab a spoon and feed yourself. So this is a very simplistic way of summarizing the treatment. That will be it. We work lots of people with autism or with sensory processing difficulties. This is something I love. So children who perceive the world in a different way. We all have our own perception of the world. This information comes through our senses: auditory, sense, smell, vision. And the brain has the ability to organize all that information. And then that's what you perceive. That's what reality is for you. And then respond to that reality, respond to that world. There are some children and some adults may be oversensitive to sound, lights, movement. Some kids, they need more movement than others. Some others are really scared of movement, and how that impacts on brain development, behavior, emotional stability, relationships, etc. So we do lots of sensory play, which is lovely. Like I've got my house full of swings for my children, and is the importance of movement and sensation in brain development. So that is another area that I'm passionate about.
That's incredible. How did this inform you as a parent?
Wow. I think it was just the preparation for me to be being a mom and experience by myself what means brain development and childhood and parenting. Motherhood for me, has been a master, a real life master, but not only in my profession, but also as a woman. Because for me, motherhood has been, as I mentioned before, just lightly, but I really felt like it rooted me. I always share this funny story. Like I went to South Africa with my drumming teacher and a drumming band, and my teacher was getting married in Limpopo, kind of in the rural area. It was an incredible experience. We're playing drums. It was we're doing a few performances, fantastic. And the very last week, I went to a national park. Can't remember the name right now. It's a very famous one. And because at that moment I had a thing with elephants. So I went to see the elephants, and as I enter on that 4x4 car, there was the zebra and the little zebra, the giraffe and the little giraffe, the lioness and the little lioness. And it made me think, isn't it life? Isn't it life about being born, growing, reproducing, and dying? And it really made me think like, maybe you are meant as a woman, as a human being, as an animal, to reproduce yourself and experience that, And I came back from South Africa, and I said to my parents, I want to be a man. He's like, a mom. And he said, about what have they done to you? It's like, I don't know. It was Mama Africa, It's like, really, I think I really want to have that experience as an animal, as a human being. And it really changed everything, It's like it changes your priorities, changes your perspective, it's like suddenly you have to look after something so precious, so subtle. And you kind of have to let go of yourself in a way, and just experiencing that, all the changes in your body, all the, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. Life is a miracle.
Yeah, Africa is a sacred land. Yeah, it's the land that, supposedly the humans walked first, and it's very still primal. And I can imagine how inspirational that, the impact that made on you.
It really talked to me.
Yeah. So how did you bring the music into this new world that you created, which is the helping vulnerable kids? And also, do you sing to them? Do you use your drummings and all kinds of music with them? And I'm sure kids respond so well, don't they? They're so open.
Yeah, to be honest, there's been always kind of a clear separation between my occupational therapy role and the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I feel like they are coming together. Obviously, there's always a musical component in my session. So I will bring, I don't know, if I have a child with hemiplegia, which means that they are not using both hands, what a beautiful way to drum with both hands together, or to play a ukulele, or to sing a song and do some hand actions. So I always bring those elements, and it's just beautiful to see how children respond to music. I mean, to me, music is the medicine. And so obviously there are always musical elements in my sessions, the singing as well. But it is not integrated. It's not that I do music therapy or sound therapy with kids, or I haven't brought, in the sense that we understand music therapy or sound therapy with children with special needs. Maybe it's something that I will be exploring more in the future, but it's been kind of like I either do this or do this, and now kind of like we will see.
Yeah. Do you think we're going towards that way? There's an intersection going to happen because things are changing fast, and we're realizing the power of the sound and the resonance and the music, the singing. Do you think we're kind of getting to a point where we're realizing that this is not separate, but it has to be included in our daily life. How would it look like? Imagine we wake up and drum for a little bit before we go off to work or something like that, right?
And to be honest, I don't know whether we are that far away, because if there are many ways of doing it, many ways of connecting to music. So I don't know, if you meet your friends and you go out on Saturday night, what do? You go out, go to a space where music is really loud and dance together. The thing is that we don't think on it as in a ceremonial way, but it doesn't have to be, we meet with friends, we are having dinner. What do you play in the background? Music, right? And you just have a few drinks, a few medicines, whether they are right or wrong. And you play music, and when your spirits are high, you go and dance and and sing together. So this is part of is ingrained in our nature. It's just sometimes I believe that music before used to be played and shared. Now it seems like people are scared or either singing or either grabbing an instrument and just give it a go in a group environment, even if these are friends. And I think there is a big separation between, the celebration in music and meaning like music needs to be on the stage and needs to be performed well. And this is the gap that I believe that we need to work on to make sure that people are less scared of grabbing a shaker, beating a drum, or sing without being scared of being heard. So it's kind of part of my mission with the music that I'm sharing and the workshops that I'm sharing.
That's so beautiful. So what do you think? Why are we so scared of singing? I know what you mean. In a setting, except it's a karaoke in the Western, especially in the Western cultures. If it's a karaoke, then everyone's up on stage because karaoke has this connotation that is fun and you can make fool of yourself, and that's fine. But somehow, in another setting, what makes it so fearful for humans to sing? What is it? I mean, from your observations, what do you see?
Look, since I was a child, I was playing piano, right? And then I was playing guitar, and I've always played drums. And I could play a shaker, I could play a didgeridoo. But when you sing, it's your unique sound. You are fully naked, right? So we can, with our voice, you can tell whether I am sad or I am having a good day, whether if I woke up well or no, if I'm energetic. The voice, it just shows who you are. Yeah.
So we're scared to be revealed.
Yeah, you are revealed, and then is this fear of being judged. We're in this society where you need to be so perfect, and so for example, as a woman, you need to look good, you need to be, you need to perform well, you need to and we are so scared of actually showing every single corner of our beings, right? And I think it's a disconnection with who are you? Who are you? How are you? How is your heart doing right now? And it is okay, because we are all there as well. You are not on your own. And when you share that, whatever the objective is, we are all there, and you actually can inspire others to do it as well. So sometimes we're here and it's like, oh, come on, share a song. It's like, oh no. And it's my best friend and she doesn't want to share it because she's scared. Why are you scared of me listening to you? Go and share it.
Yeah.
These mirrors that are presented in front of us.
So would you say we're deeply programmed to protect ourselves because of this societal judgment, things that we grew up in in ways that we learn to be defensive, protective, and closed. And yet there is this other side of it where when you do somehow open up and share yourself, you realize people meet you there, right there, they meet you there, and there is not much really to be scared of.
But I wouldn't blame only the society, because the ones that are limiting ourselves are precisely ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we can be so hard to ourselves, so limiting, so, so protective, so like, and it's so funny what you just said, Susan, because it is when you sing, or that's what I experience when I sing, when I perform, and I don't think about anything else apart from expression, is when people respond, is when you hear people silent cry, or when you see the tears coming out, is because there's no more thinking.
There's no judgment.
There's nothing, no ego, no nothing. You're just expressing, expanding. And that's where people really respond to, because you're not trying to perform, and you don't have to do like the crazy melodic line. You can do one one note, and you touch your heart, you touch people's hearts.
Yeah. So when you cross that threshold of, breaking through your own limitations, when I say societal conditioning, I think what I mean by is that the societal conditioning made us build these walls and made our hearts too hard and be very judgmental towards ourselves. And once we cross that threshold of being okay with everything around and tapping into that authentic expression, that is where the magic is, right? People respond to that exactly. And yet getting there is the hardest step. Getting there, you probably see this all the time in your gigs and your ceremonial settings with music. Maybe it takes one person and then the rest follows. It's almost like we do get there eventually, but there's always this little resistance at the beginning.
And it's as well a matter of practice as well, no? Like you hear your own voice, and it's beautiful with your voice because you can have a certain pitch, a certain texture of your voice. And as soon as you start exploring other textures, then you kind of start seeing other sides of yourselves that you didn't think they were possible. But imagine that you always sing like this and you are pretty comfortable here, but then we start singing here and you hear yourself and you're like, oh, what did I do? No? That's another version of yourself. But if you practice and you get back to it and you do it and you start modulating from up, down, and you start exploring new areas and started to feel comfortable with those new areas. So when the opportunity comes, you come out. Yeah.
Is that why you say music is medicine? Because in my understanding, medicine is the substance or the essence that helps us realize all of ourselves as a whole.
But also on top of that, everything is vibration. Every single particle is vibrating. So if you start breaking down every single piece of your body, everything, it all comes to little particles that are vibrating. So I think also the sound is just when you start vibrating with a certain intention, you vibrate that intention and that expands, because the waves tend to synchronize. So that intention flows and travels. And like if you look at any tribe anywhere around the world, sound is what connects, what heals, is the initiator. It triggers the messages to come through.
Yeah.
That's why it goes straight into your limbic brain, your emotional brain, straight away. And there is a reason why old people with Alzheimer, they may not remember who their daughter is, but they remember the music of their, meaningful music of their youth, because it's straight into your limbic, straight into your roots, straight into your heart.
Yeah, it's true. I watched a video actually. It was Italian grandmother. She's Alzheimer's, and they played the song that she danced. She used to be a ballet dancer. She remembered. You saw that? It's so beautiful. She was doing all the motions to it. Yeah. So let's talk about how psychedelic medicines informed your journey as a musician, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm. I was very young when I had my first journey on psychedelics. And I must say that it completely changed the way I perceive life. And it was truly about the concept of reality, what is real, what is not. It's like, this is what I'm perceiving. I make a map of what I think I'm perceiving. I just need to take this little beautiful plant, and then the perception completely changes, and then the whole reality has changed. And then, then it's like, it opens, a new way of understanding, and that, there's multiple ways of being, of thinking, of perceiving, and that impacts on emotion as well. Like, everything started to be quite relative rather than absolute. My life started to be, okay, this is one option. This is not the way things are. This is one option, and maybe I can turn that option into something else. So it gave me the choice rather than, suddenly I had the choice to, like, okay, what if now, rather than perceiving reality as it is, now it opens up to be the way I want it to be, or the way I choose to, or the way, like being more malleable.
And how long it took you to get to this understanding since the experience?
Well, that was the experience that I had during the journey.
In that moment.
Moment.
Were you able to apply it straight away into your practical life?
Well, it's a whole life journey, isn't it?
This is what I mean. Like, how long it is taking to integrate this understanding?
That was a very clear message to me, right? That's something that since then I've been kind of super aware of, that kind of applying that and then mastering the skills is something that you learn through. It's like you go to your first guitar lesson and you know where to put your fingers, and then it's a matter of practice. It's a matter of how much you are applying all that knowledge and those thoughts, and you are really careful on your thoughts, and you're to actually integrate that into your daily life. Some people get to be amazing guitarists. Some people give up after 2 months of guitar lessons. So it's very individual as well. And what you said about how you apply that into music, the psychedelics, has been, especially before the pandemic, that it was kind of truly a booster. It was a booster. It was the last ceremony I had. I had these very clear messages of play, sing, do the music, and do the music without thinking, without structure, without this is the beginning of the song and this is the end of the song. The psychedelic, the plant was saying so clearly, I want you to be there. Or when I was improvising, it's like, yeah, this is what I want you to be. This is where the music is flowing, because you are listening to your heart and singing with or playing with no thoughts, no limits. You know, there's this real disconnection from any sort of thought and limitation, you know, because in the moment that you put any thought, then that's it, magic stops, you know.
So there is no beginning, there is no end to a song. You just pick it up.
Mm-hmm. There is no concept. This is not the reality. This is not what you think it is. It's like let it be, let it flow, let it happen. You know, like don't try to sculpture. You know.
Do you think this vibrational frequency is all around us? It's already is life, and with music is just the one portal we can tap into that what's already happening around us.
As we said before, everything is vibration, right? And there is, I think we know there are these lows of vibration, yeah? And that's why we see the sacred geometry everywhere, in the way plants grow, in the way water also organizes structures, in the way we grow as human, in the way matter restructures and grows. This is like a great mandala, like everything makes place, everything has its unique place to, you know, otherwise it would be chaotic. It would be too chaotic. Everything has the unique way. And I think the more we tap into it, the more connected we are. We are actually helping for the organization to happen.
Yeah, and that's through music.
Harmony, isn't it? Harmony of your thoughts, harmony of your living, harmony of your heart, harmony of your words, harmony of the matter, harmony of the energy, harmony in our relationships, harmony in, you know, in our emotions. So
talk to us about your tribal experiences with drumming and music, learning to tap into the tribal sounds, and what can we learn from that? What's the lesson, or did you learn, if there was anything that you could share, maybe?
If there is something that, like a common thread, clear common thread along all the tribes, is that at certain points connected with nature, certain important moments of the year, the seasons, the full moon, the new year, harvesting, things that are, you know, like connected to nature, they come together. We come together. We come together around the fire to celebrate that specific moment in which we are living, you know, being in gratitude. This is the common thread. Yeah, whether you are in Mongolia, you are in West Africa, or you are in Mexico, or wherever you are in the North Pole. Yeah, this is the common thread. Where am I in relation to nature? Because we are nature. Where am I? And we are coming together as a community to celebrate. And we use sound. Whether it's beating a drum, doesn't matter which drum, it's all about a frame and the skin of an animal that is beating and is creating that vibration. Yeah, together. Using our voices, using other instruments, sticks of wood that turn into flutes, the hair of the horse that turned into a bow, that turned into a string.
Yeah.
Wherever you go. And we come together to resonate together and celebrate together, being in gratitude for what is happening right now. Yeah. That is the common thread. And I think that's something that we shouldn't miss. We should carry on coming together and celebrating where we are.
And how do you see a lot of the civilized countries or industrialized, let's say, who are far away from this kind of practices? Do you see people opening up to it more? Do you see more people coming together and maybe being called to it more now than before since the pandemic?
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking that, no, the pandemic has really made us value how important it is. We are social animals, and we do need to be together. It's funny because in a way I see that in the last 5 years there has been a race of like the new people, the new conscious, the new earth, like loads of people that we are coming together to be in the voice of this new era, yeah, of being more conscious and together and celebrating around the fire and being more rooted, being more connected to the elements and the ancient wisdom. So now you before, like I would say 10 years ago, you wouldn't find shamanic drum making workshop in Seville. Now you do. You find it in Spain and you find it everywhere, and it's not part of our tradition. In a way, it makes me very happy to see how this kind of whole humanity is coming up, you know, and calling the whole society is like, hey, let's connect back to the roots. On another side, I think there is a risk of missing and mixing and mixing information, and like anything is valuable. But also we need to move forward. We need to evolve into what is new. And if this is going to bring us together and it's going to make us more connected, that is beautiful. But I still value very much that the old traditions and the real knowledge is not lost.
Yeah.
Having that beautiful balance.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, I didn't realize there were so many communities in the UK who like the shamanic practices, but I wasn't so aware of before the pandemic. And obviously with you guys now realizing there's so many people being called to it. And so coming back to the music again and your ceremonial music, how is that something emerged through the recent years in this developing of the new world, or the calling for the way of living? How did you also transition, or is that another role you have that you incorporate into your life?
Which role? The role of playing
ceremonial music.
To be honest, it happened in a very natural way. Like I am a musician and I play drums and I play guitar, and then I play with friends, and then you kind of have like your interest, and you kind of try to meet people that have this similar type of interest, and then you get inspired by listening to certain artists or friends doing this and that, and then you get invited to play. Oh, would you like to? It's like, and then when you are in your natural environment, or where you feel comfortable, then it just happens and flows very naturally, and then it kind of keeps growing and growing, like so I'm invited to play in the ceremony, and then someone sees me there and they invite me to somewhere else, and then it grows into into being part of bigger events, and yeah, that's
It
the
just
journey.
evolves. It has its own
Yeah.
evolution process.
The own life, yeah, the own life. I received this message, beautiful message today, saying like from the Mayan tradition that was saying like, you don't have to do anything in life, you just have to let it happen, let it take you to the journey that you are meant to be having. You don't need to get like, your only job is to be, to let it happen, to vibrate to whatever is happening and make the most out of it without being distracted into, what if, and the fear and the anxiety and the, just be.
That is that's like the most abstract concept for industrialized communities. What you just said is like the most abstract thing. How does one do that, right? Because we have like endless checklists every day. We live for a checklist in the West. We have all these things we need to do before all the day ends, and the art of being, it's abstract.
Yeah, but it's funny because all those checklists, sometimes I feel like they are really far away from the surviving mode, like now, if my computer switches off or the internet goes down, like I wouldn't know how to, grow my own food, like build my own house, like all those checklists are so far away from what we actually need to survive.
Exactly.
That comes back to the question that you had about, society and kind of the, how would I say, I don't know, you use very nice words, no? How, the society in which we are living now, no? It's like this disconnection from actually our original roots.
How to be, the art of just being is not practiced here in London for sure. No, because people, like you said, they're in survival. They need to get to their jobs and provide for the family. Sometimes they do 2 jobs. Sometimes they somehow ended up in creating these big debts like mortgages and loans, and they've literally created so many things that chains people down. And
but also, I've got 2 children. They are going to school, and they are not now taught to survive, to make a fire, to build a house, to, like I don't know what they are learning about right now. Maybe I should, but certainly we are not building the society to go back to, so it's kind of our responsibility as parents to grow a new and more connected generation.
I love that. I love that. Do you as a mom, you have 2 kids, you told me, having, being a mom, do you have sometimes, do you think, like, one of the things that came to my mind beginning of the pandemic, when everything was locked down, schools were locked down for a long time, it was this realization that this school system needs to go down because it is not going to be relevant when this is all done and dusted. When we move forward from this pandemic situation, I think maybe another couple of years, they say, maybe less. I don't want to be instilling fear, but the uncertainties, they're going to be carrying on for a little while more. And there is this sense of feeling that maybe the school system also needs to change. And children, they need to learn to make fire in the garden, right? With their teachers. And they need to make
risk assessment forms.
Imagine, that's what I'm saying. The industrialized world, even taking children to a trip is like filling 10 forms, right? Which is fine. I understand the procedures, but do you see how we've been taken so far away?
Everything is under change. Everything is changing. But drastic changes that come in 1 year, in 2 years, they come slowly.
Exactly, yeah.
But I witness myself how we are all changing. And it's the way we live, the way we build, the way we educate, the way we live our lives, the way we spend our money, the way we buy shoes and clothes, the way we consume. Everything is changing. If I compare how I buy 10 years ago to how I buy now, it's a very different story. But it takes time, for the whole society. But
yeah,
it is happening. I don't know, because I'm an extremely positive person. But I rather keep being positive.
Yes, if
And be
there's
proud
a
of the
choice, why not to be positive, right?
choice.
Yeah, amazing. So now that we're here, Api, what's the future holds for you? Or are we just keep mastering the art of being here now?
Yeah, the future holds. See, because I'm such a now person. I don't know what the future holds. Certainly something beautiful, because I choose to see it in that way.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at looking in the past. I've got really bad memory, and I think because I don't reflect much on what happened yesterday, before yesterday. Maybe I should. I'm not saying I'm doing the thing. Life also is teaching me very deeply and repeatedly that we don't know what is going to happen, or whatever, like any expectations that you have about the future, they're very likely not to be, true. Life turns around like that, and I think it's beautiful as well to be open to for things to happen in the way they need to happen. I was 16 years old when my brother passed away in a car accident, and it's like bam, and then everything in my life changed. Like, oh, it's like, okay, this is the way it goes, right? So you go to a ceremony, or you go to dinner with friends, you go to this trip that you were dreaming of, and you create all these expectations of how it's going to happen, and then it happens in a completely different way.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever the future holds for me, I'm sure it will be a good teaching lesson. And I will try to be as open as possible, to receive and respond to it in the best way I can. And then, I don't know, to me, I hope that in the next 3 months, let's say, like, I'm really looking forward to these music sessions that I am delivering now in the autumn term. I would really like to build the tribe, build, like, having more relationships, and being surrounded by, more people, rather than being here in my cave doing my own thing and doing the checklist, kind of opening and being, I would like to be very mindful on how I educate my children, like keep, planning a little bit how am I going to deliver that, to make sure that they are fulfilled, and well looked after. And I know, keep trying as well to be congruent.
I love that.
Yeah, it's not easy, and it's not easy for anybody.
No.
Congruent of what I'm saying right now, make sure it's congruent with my actions and my thoughts and my words in any single thing I do, whether it's the way I eat, the way I consume, the way, I socialize with the people I like and the people I don't like. How do I manage conflict? Conflict is going to be there, but how are you going to deal with that? Is it incongruence? So yeah, that's maybe my focus as well in this.
That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Gives me the sense of feeling that we are recalibrating our values so deeply. Whether I think pandemic has been the catalyst for us to take action. Most of us, come from the self-development background, even the fact that you come into occupational therapy and music tells me that you have done so much work, internal work. And there are so many people in our surrounding and in our environment, in our communities that, especially where I come from, there's so many of us here that done deep internal work. Somehow, the last 2 years, the pandemic, it's been like the driving force, the catalyst to bring them into more practical, into our reality, more so than before. Like, for example, I started a minimalist living 5 years ago, 6 maybe now. But I noticed in the last 1-2 years, it accelerated to bare minimum, like not buying anything, if anything, letting go of the material stuff more and more. And all of these things, like, the Western habits of buying, shopping for a week, and then, perishables, they go off, you're wasting all that money and energy. Because there's this tradition in the West, in London I live, in most cities anyway, that you do your shopping on your day off. You fill in your fridge, and then by the end of the week, they all perish. This needed to stop, because we don't need to eat that much. We can just buy them daily. And we can choose to buy them consciously from local places, right? So all of these things that I'm talking about, I think accelerated in the last 2 years. And I love what you said about congruency in, having that congruency in everything, in your actions daily, also accelerated by the pandemic, because now we are having those difficult conversations, we are making those difficult decisions that we probably could have delayed longer, or make it slowly, make a slow action towards them. But I feel like now things accelerated a lot. And I feel like there's a sense of reorganization going on in the universe. One of my favorite sayings is chaos to coherence type of thing. A lot of chaos. It's also there is a saying from Cole Young. He says, in every chaos there's cosmos, there's order. Although it looks disorder, there is always an order. So I feel like we are heading in the right direction, although it doesn't feel like it. For some of us, it feels quite feeling of doomed or despair. But and what I love, which I'm learning to embrace, is during these pandemic situations, learning to embrace our fragility as humans, and embrace the power of the sense of power, and the two together. You said about balancing. I think the more we accept and embrace our fragility, we become more powerful. This is something that's emerged also in the last 2 years. And I feel like we're all being connected to each other, those of us who feel and think the similar ways. Being connected, whether it's music, whether it's medicine, whether it's something else. I think it's a good direction. And never in my life things have felt so uncertain but yet so comforting. It kind of taken off this pressure of the Western life checklist of, in 10 years time I should have had this and I should have accomplished this and that. The idea of being incapable of making plans for tomorrow is become the virtue. And I love that. I think you just said that very nicely earlier.
Relate so much to that, because until now I had this nearly full-time job in the NHS, and it was a very good job. I was Band 8, a clinical lead in Islington, working for as an OT for children, and I just handed in my resignation, actually.
Wow.
Really good job. I work 3 days a week. And it really felt like I had to drop that to give a space for other things to happen. Because it's funny, but the pandemic is super beautiful to observe how the whole chains in consciousness, in everything, is being due to us being forced to be with ourselves and getting all those distractions away, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you are in your home with yourself, with your loved ones, and start, you know, encountering who you are, then it's, you know.
And then when you step out,
we're moving on, we're quitting our jobs, we're doing all this. And it's funny to me, I've been always like that, but I don't have any fear whatsoever. What you just said is that this certainty that it's gonna be okay, you know. I know it's what we are meant to be, but we are so distracted by so many things that we forget being listening, observing ourselves. We are so much into the outside that we don't look in. And
it feels like what you just said used to sound so abstract. Now people start to feel it in their bones what this means. You know, when we said about art of allowing is an abstract, turning inward, like abstract, what does that mean? Right? But finally we are getting it. And sometimes change comes with force, right? The lockdowns, being locked in our homes alone, most of us, turning inwards. It hasn't been the same for everybody, unfortunately. We do see detrimental effects, negative effects on many people.
of course.
But also, you know, that they can reach out. Hopefully they can, and hopefully they can find those people that can support them, because there's so many videos, conversations are shared online now that people can actually become part of those communities if they can just push themselves a little bit through that breakthrough, the threshold of reaching out. I think we're learning to reach out too. I feel like the old model was suffer in silence, close yourself to the world and keep going, keep calm and keep going. But now it's changing. We're being vulnerable, but being okay. We're being authentic and embracing the uncertainty and really appreciating for what it means to be here now.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Api. So this has been such a beautiful conversation as always. So good to connect with you like this. And thank you for sharing your world and your story with us today. And we'll have your links, we'll have your social links and your offerings in the comments, in the notes of this video, for those of our listeners who are listening and feel the call to connect with you.
Isn't reality so relative? I can't believe it's been already an hour.
Yeah, they say time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, life is relative indeed.
Yeah. So we keep practicing the art of being here now and allowing and trusting. That has been really big for me also, the word trust. So we trust that all is going to be fine and unfold in a beautiful way. Thank you, Api, for your heart, for your singing, for your medicine. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Please do comment, share, and like, and also connect with us. Drop your questions and your sharings below. Don't be shy. We're all family. See you on the next one. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for joining us. Psychedelic Conversations podcast is designed to educate, inform, and expand awareness. For more information, please head over to psychedelicconversations.com. You can also share with your friends or leave a review so that we can reach more people. You can also join us in our private Facebook group to keep the conversation going. This show is for information purposes only, and it is not intended to provide mental health or medical advice. Thanks for listening.